Well, hello everyone, hello. I took everything apart this week and rearranged it. Since the spare case I have set up to be sort of like a traditional old school analog synth, like a melodic type of synth, I decided to redesign this case to be the groove box, the rhythm section. Grids is the only thing that is still in the same place. Everything else in here has moved. And I put all of my most essential clocking modules as well as some handy VCAs, envelope generators, and noise making modules for what I think is going to be a pretty interesting rhythm section. Necessitated moving everything around. I took this case mostly apart. These three modules right here, Muck Slicer, and that VCA are still in the same place, but everything else has moved. And my rationale here was to try to put modulation and utilities over on this side so it would be closer to the center of this whole setup, and then oscillators and tone generators, those things out towards the edge. Because, no matter what you do, something's got to be way out there at the farthest reaches. And I thought this layout made a bit more sense. Now, in this case, most of these things are still where they were before. However, as you might have noticed, I moved the conduit, so it's back in this row where it used to be. I just wasn't comfortable with having it down here, because although the Olegtron is kind of sheltered from all of this cable mess, with it being way down in this corner, conduit was a little too far over into the jungle, and it was hard to reach in there and do the things with the little breadboard sockets, so I moved it back. This is pretty elaborate. I'm not going to describe it all in detail what's happening. Grids is driving T-kick, snare, hat, providing master clock, which is clocking the 8-bit cipher, and Little Nerd, both of which are providing a plethora of triggers and gates to fire off all of these other little blips and bleeps and crunches that you're hearing. I'm also using all 4 of the cipher's CV outs to modulate various things. I'm also sending some clock to Divide and Conquer down here, which I almost kind of wish I could have fit the Divide and Conquer up here, but there really wasn't room. There is one thing, now that I've built this patch, there's one thing I want to change, because I felt like I ran out of modulations. So I'm gonna move function over here, and I think there's an 8 HP of fluff that I can live without. So I'm gonna do that, which will mean taking it all apart again. Yes. Anyway, here's that. Let me turn this up and stop talking. I have the Doper A150-8 octal VC switch in conjunction with some gates that are coming from somewhere, and it's switching a few of those parts in and out to kind of vary it up a little bit. And it took me a while to get those intervals to be a length that I liked. I've got Platts playing bass. It is controlled by the tonic as far as pitch, and there's a really slow modulation. You can hear the timbre change when actually that's the morph. The morph parameter is changing slowly, and that's controlled by the noise engineering Clip Diaz, which is receiving a pretty slow clock from the Divide and Conquer. And I can turn it up with one of my homemade attenuators, and two gates from the cipher are gating the left and right, who's making it sort of pop from side to side like that. I'm also using one of those clock divisions to clock the penta sequencer up here, and that's sending pitch CV to the DCO, which I don't know if you can even see it behind all this. DCO is playing lead. Well, there you go. The completely overhauled and redesigned system, which I think makes more sense than it did before, I think. Anyhow, let me tell you about my Patreon, where recordings of these things show up in MP3 format, and I also have furry cartoons that I drew. There's the Ballad of Adler Young and Xandar Saga, and a bunch of random drawings. If you're not into those kinds of things, or if you don't want to make a monthly pledge, I have a Bandcamp page where the best of my recordings winds up after a brief delay, because Patreon gets to listen to them first. On Bandcamp, you can listen for free up to 3 times. I have a few tracks that are free forever. If you just want to give me money for no reason at all, there is a Ko-fi page I have set up where you can buy me a coffee, as they say. If you don't want to spend any money at all, that's fine too. You can like and subscribe for free here on YouTube. And no matter what you do, I thank you for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you're awesome. Have a great day, and I'll catch you next time.